Welcome to Tech Brothers with Amit. Today we are going to learn about the lookup transformation. We have a scenario in which we have a big reference table from which we want to extract records in lookup. So we can use those records against our source files. The table has data from three regions: Asia, Europe and North America. The files come with the name AS underscore file name, EU underscore file name and NA underscore file name. Instead of extracting all the records for the lookup with all regions, we want to extract the records related to the region name coming in the file. So we will be eliminating extra records extraction from this from the SQL table into the lookup transformation. So now what we are going to learn in this video, we'll learn how to create SSIS package from scratch. We will learn how to loop through the files by using for each loop container. We will read the part of the file name and save into the variable. So we will extract AS, EU and NA from the file name. So we can use that variable in the dynamic query of a lookup. Finally, we will see how we will filter those records for only specific region in the lookup transformation, and we will use a query to filter them. And now let me show you all those files here in the source folder. So we have input folder, and I have AS underscore sales, EU underscore sales and NA underscore sales. The dates can be anything. So open one of them, and it has customer name, customer region and sale amount. What we will do, we will join or map these customer name and customer region to the lookup data or reference data and get the customer ID, and we will put only the sale amount and customer ID in our final destination table. So let me go and show you final destination table. So we have this customer underscore destination table, and we will put customer ID and sale amount in this table. Now let's create these tables. We are creating this table in the test database. Next, what I have DDL for the lookup table. So create table, table name, lookup customer. We have customer ID, customer name, address, street address, city, state and region. And now let's create this one. Let me drop it first. If it is there, it was there, so let's drop it. Create the table. Next, we are putting some records in this table, and now let's query the lookup table and see what we have here. All these scripts will be available on the blog post, so you can just copy. You can go to the description of the video and just open the link and go to the blog post and copy these all scripts for your testing. Now what we have here, I have IDs, customer ID 1 2 3 4 5, and then I have names and I have streets. Here I have cities, states and region. So for some of the cities in the Europe, I didn't know their states, and maybe there are no states. I was trying to find out in Google, but I couldn't find the state for Paris and for France, for Frankfurt also my knowledge was kind of limited, like how to put that. So I have put NA, not applicable. So wherever you see NA, it means not applicable for those cities. But rest of that, we have states for Asia. Let's say this is one of the country, Pakistan, and this is city, and this is a state, Punjab, and then we have a city in America, and the state is in North Carolina and all that. So anyways, you can maybe do better job on this data, sample data I have created, but the goal is to use the customer name and the region and get the ID. So that's what we are going to do. But as you see, we have 5 records. We don't want to extract all the records from this table and put into memory. We want to extract only the related records. Let's say we are loading Asia file. We will be extracting only 2 records for that load. So let's go to the SSDT or bids and create a SSIS package. Now I'm opening SSDT SQL Server Data Tools. As I'm using SSIS 2012, and in your case you will be using maybe SSIS 2005 or 2008, then you will be opening bids. So go to File, create a new, and call project. And here we will be saying Integration Services Project, and I'm going to name this one Lookup Demo. I'm going to create maybe another 20 videos on lookup and lookup transformation, so you can watch all of them. There will be different scenarios I will cover in each of the video. So hit OK. And here the package is already created, so we are going to rename this one. We are going to call this one Lookup Transformation Dynamic Query. As we know that we will be extracting or reading the files from the source folder, I'm going to create a variable. You can go ahead and create a parameter, so your choice, so that will work fine with both of them. Just you have to create the variable or parameter. If you are creating a parameter, you click here, and if you are creating a variable, right click and go to variables and create a variable. So your choice, whatever you want to do. It is hard for me to come up like, okay, there are some people, they're still using old versions, and there would be no parameters, and it is kind of hard, like how I will perform both of them. So doesn't really matter, you can create parameter or the variable. It will be only matter when you are creating or deploying the packages and using the configuration. So if you are using SSIS DB, you will be creating the parameters. If you are using package based deployments, you can use the variables. So go back here, provide the value of that variable. Now we will be using for each loop container, and here we'll be going to collections, and we will be selecting for each file enumerator is already selected. In the expressions, I'm going to go ahead and use that variable instead of providing folder path here. So I'm going to use that. Go to properties, go to directory, and here we will be using that variable. So local folder, and now we will be reading all the files from this path which is saved in the local folder. Hit OK, hit OK. Now what we are interested in, if we are interested to read any type of files, but here in our case we will be only reading .txt files. And now you can get some information from here. You can get file name and extension, you can get fully qualified path, or you can get a file name only. I'm going to get a file name and extension, as I have the folder path already saved in the local folder variable. And now I go to variable mapping, and here I'm going to save that information in a new variable called file name. So that's going to be string type. Hit OK. Index is 0. That's the only information I'm getting. So this is the first variable I'm saving values. So that's why it called index 0. If you have more variables same and you will be using here, you will have index 1 and 2 and 3. So you can keep going. Next, what we are going to do, we are going to create another variable, and we will call that variable region code. And I'm going to write some expressions. So we will be extracting the region code part from the file name variable. Right now there isn't any here. I can just provide one value here, so at least we can see in the evaluation if our expressions are working. But in real time these values will change on each of the iteration. So there will be you can, for now you can just put the test or whatever, doesn't matter, .txt, but we are only interested to extract the first two letters from here. So go to region code, press F4, that will take you to properties, and then you're going to go to the expressions. Click here. Let me see where we are, and I'm trying to find expressions here. Right here. And now we will be extracting only two things. We will be extracting first two characters from the file name. So we'll say substring, and then we will provide the file name, and we will provide the first place and then two characters. So let's see if that's correct. So it is coming correct. We are good in that. Hit OK. Now our region code has the region code that we extracted from the file name. Next we will be loading this file. Let's bring the data flow task here, and inside the data flow task we will need the flat file source, as we are reading the data from a flat file. So bring the flat file source here, double click, make a new connection. You can make connection to any file, as all of the files have the same metadata, but at the end we will be using some expressions to overwrite the file name, and then when we will get from the loop, for each loop they will be overwritten. So right now it doesn't matter which file you use, they will be overwritten on each of the iteration with new file name. So go to columns, and the records are coming correct, and I would like to go and say if the data type I need to make changes, such as customer name is varchar, and it is output column which is 50, region if I want to go ahead and change to 2 I can do it, and sale amount is also string. Here I want to change to the integer, so I can go ahead and change it. If I want to change to the decimal or something, I can do that as well. So you have all data types here, so whatever you like you can change it. Now go preview, everything looks good. And now retain null values from the source as null values in the data flow. That means if you are getting some null values, blank values from the source, and you want to convert them to null, this is what you need to check. So I check that part, columns, everything coming correct, hit OK. Next we want to use the lookup. So lookup transformation will be here, and lookup transformation in which we will be extracting the records from the lookup customer table, and then what we will do, we will join them on or map them from the source records, and then only let the matching records go down and ignore the non-matching. That's what we are going to do here. So click on lookup, and here we are, you're going to use the full cache. So in the full cache, that's where we can actually use the dynamic query. In partial and no caches, actually SQL Server is SSIS is going to send those queries itself, so we don't need to use these dynamic queries in the partial or no cache. I will go ahead and explain each of them in detail in the next videos, and you will see what I'm talking about. But we will be using full cache, and that's where we will limit the number of records by the region. Now in the full cache, we don't want to fail the component if the record does not match. We want to redirect rows to no match output. So if we will leave this one as it is, and there would be incoming record that would not have matching record in the reference data or lookup data, it will fail. But we don't want to fail it, we want to redirect rows to no matching. If the record is not matching, send that to the no matching output. Next we will be using the connection. Here we create a new connection, and we have already RPC SQL 2014.test. We can use that one. If you want to create a new one, go ahead and create it. You click new, and here you will be providing the SQL Server name and the database name in which your lookup table is. So let's see, you select that SQL Server, you provide the database name, you test the connection, hit OK. Now look good. I'm gonna just increase the volume in case. Now we are fine. And here I recommend not to use these tables, because table can have multiple columns and you are using only 2 columns. So in our case, if we use the customer has 5 or 6 columns, but we are interested to use only few columns. We are interested to get the customer ID that we need to use as the output ID, and then we need the customer name, and then we need the region. So these are the 3 columns we need. If we would have select everything, sorry, MDX query is wrong. If we would have select just the table, it will bring everything, so we don't need that. So it's the wastage of memory and resources. So sometimes if you have a lot of records and your query is bringing everything, that can be very expensive. So always limit your columns here and just tell what you need. Don't put everything or asterisk here at all. Now preview the data is coming correct, and if I want to extract the data only for region Asia, and I know that okay, the first file is coming in Asia, so I will say where region is equal to AS. So now if I will preview the data, it will be only returning me 2 records. Let's go ahead and don't do anything, don't put where clause here. Let's do as it is for now, and I will show you. So in the customer name you will be mapping on customer name, in the region you will be mapping on region, and this is what we need to get down. So customer ID we want to get down and put into the final destination table. So hit OK. Now lookup is done. Finally we have to bring our OLEDB destination so we can load the data into the table. Come back here, matching records, lookup match output, go in this one, and then we need to tell in which table we want. So we have a customer DS and the mapping, and here in the sales amount, sale amount, we have customer ID. Looks good. The last one, as we want to ignore the records, I can just bring a multicast here if I need to, just to show you guys, and just map this output, no match output, to the multicast. So multicast is not going to do anything here, it will be just used as a dummy. Now let's run the package and see what happens. These videos are going to be a little long, but they will tell you a lot of details and performance tuning tips, so you can use in your future SSIS packages. Here you see 5 records or 5 rows are cached. So even we are extracting the data from the North American file that has only 1 record, and we know that the data is coming from North America. We have extracted 5 records in the memory by using the lookup, and then we have mapped or we have joined them and get the output. Even there is only 1 matching output on our side. Now what would be the best? The best would be we go here and say where region is equal to NA. In this case, if you see what happened, now it is given us only 1 record, and as we know that it should be mapped only to the region as file is coming with NA. So let's see if we run it now, how many records will be extracted in the cache. So if you see here, only 1 row is put into memory for the lookup. So that's make a big difference when you have 20 million records, and each let's say each region has 7 or 6 million records. Instead of putting 20 million records in the memory, that can take a long time to put, and then your process will start. If you will just put 7 million for that region, that will save a lot of time. Now we are going to go ahead and make this package dynamic. We don't have to go back here every time and change this region code. We don't want to do it by ourselves. We want to use the variables and everything and make it dynamic. So cancel this out. First of all, we will go to the flat file connection manager and make this connection capable of using those file names. Right click, go to properties, go to expressions, because we can get multiple files and we want to loop through them. So here in the connection string, we are going to use the folder full path, and we have a local folder here, and then we have the file name. So I'm going to put add plus sign, double quotes, then I'm going to use the backslash here, and then double quotes and plus sign, and then I will use the file name variable. So that will build me the complete string. So it might give me error. Now I will show you what happened. So if you see here, the single backslash, or I have always problem with this slash, I could call it backslash or forward slash, whatever you want to call it, but you would know that what I am talking about. So you need to put 2 of them. If you need to place in the expression, you need to put 2 of them to place 1. So if I put 1, it will give me error. If I will put 2, it will just add 1 here. So that's how it will work. Now our expression looks good. When next time this package is going to run, it is going to loop through 3 files what we have in the source folder. The last part is remaining. We have to make the lookup dynamic. Right now what we have here in the lookup, we have hard coded the value where region is equal to NA. We want to change that every time with according to the file name. So hit OK. Now if you go in the lookup properties, the hard part is you do not find any expressions here, but you see the SQL command it is using to make the query dynamic. What you have to do, you have to go back to the control flow, go on the data flow and hit F4. That will take you to the properties, and here you will see the expressions, and hit the expressions. And once you go click here on this button, it's going to open different properties, and the very first property is called, hold on one second, let me expand it. Let's make it big actually. So the very first property is called SQL command. So it is lookup.sql command. So the query we are using in the lookup, that's what it is. So we will go here and then go to expressions, and here we are going to build our query. I'm going to use the same query. So I have select customer ID, customer name, region code from this table where region is equal to. As we want to change the region depending upon the variable or file name every time extracted, we will have single quote here, then put double quotes plus sign, and here we will use that region code variable. And now we will put plus sign, double quote, single quote, double quote. Because this is a variable worker value or string value, we have to put a single quotes around it. So I put these two single quotes, and value will fit right into middle, and that's how the query will change according to the file name. So we are all good. Now we hit OK and then hit OK. Last thing I would like to do, if I will go to variables and here on the region code, I will go to the F4 and properties and say evaluate as expression to true instead of false. So now these expressions will be true when the new file name will come by using the for each. It will change the value of region code every time. So now we are all good. Let's run the package. Let's delete the records from the destination table. So we will say truncate table. These right now we don't have anything in this table, and now we can just say select asterisk from. We don't have anything. What we want to observe here, for each of the file, how many rows will be cached. So let's run this SSIS package now. It should be running for 3 files, so 1, 2, 3, and let's go back and now study our output. So let's go on top and we will see what is happening here. So when it is extracting the row for Asia, it is caching only 2 rows. Why? Because there are only 2 rows in the lookup table for region Asia. So let's query that one. And if you see here, there are only 2 records for Asia. And we have passed that region code in the lookup command, if you see in the expressions. So that's why it is using that first 2 letters of the file name and putting in that query, and that's how it is only extracting 2 records. If we would not have used that region code as a filter, it will extract everything. So it will be extracting 5 records every time this will run. Now that's good. If we have millions of records, it will just grab those records related to Asia region. So that will make it fast and we will use less resources. Now if we go to the next, for the next file, it is loading Asia file. So that's done. Next we go and find out EU file. So European file, it is also caching 2 records because there are only 2 records in the table. But when we will go and see if it is loading North America file, it should only get 1 record in the cache or memory. So go to the North America file. Here we have EU, and that's where we have NA. If you see, when it is starting NA file, it is for the lookup, it is extracting only one row from the lookup table and putting into memory. So that's how we can save a lot of resources by making our lookup SQL command dynamic. So you have to find it multiple ways where you can filter those rows by using the variables or some values coming from the file name or maybe table or from the records itself. So you find those values and then just get the required records in the lookup by using those different variables and techniques in the lookup.sql commands. So thanks very much for watching this video, and I hope you learned some good stuff from here. And keep watching the lookup videos. There are going to be a lot of videos, and I promise you will learn a lot of good stuff. And if I missed anything, you guys can write in the comments, and I will do my best to answer those questions. See you in next video.